Hello and welcome back to the Gearshift Chat. And today we are talking about the
Ford Focus RS.
that is an incredible car. And how much horsepower does it have, Connor?
400 horsepower.
That's not standard, is it?
It's not, sadly. It's stock. I think it's about 350. We'll put it on screen right now on what it is. So, yeah, very interesting car.
And it's one of the cars, well, it's the only car that we've filmed so far that I haven't actually been present because I was in Switzerland at the time.
That was correct,
And
yep.
You pulled through, you managed to get a car organized, and you managed to film it all by yourself. So let's
me.
talk about how you ended up doing that, because usually we film with a two-man job.
Mhm.
You usually have someone behind the camera, checking focus,
Yep.
making sure the camera's on to, over the 30-minute record limit. And so how did you manage to do that all by yourself?
So, I was able to get the car, well, actually via my dad. Similar story to the GTIR. Basically, my dad bumped into Chris, who owns the car, and my dad, the conversation stroke up that I have a YouTube channel that I run, and my dad was like, "You have a Focus RS, am I right?" And he says, "Yes." And my dad asked, "Can it be on the channel?" So, my dad was able to give me his number and sorted that myself. So yeah, honestly, it wasn't too hard, and me and my dad rocked up on the day and filmed it.
Very good. That's fantastic. And how did you find filming it? Obviously, because your dad doesn't really have huge amounts of experience
Yep.
filming with cameras. Did you do it in one shot, or did you have to do multiple takes, or what?
So, funny enough, that was the quickest video we've ever filmed. That he usually
No way.
Yeah, usually a video takes 30 minutes, and I cut that down to about 10. He got it in 8 minutes, and it's usually an 8-minute video. So
Oh gosh, that's pretty quick.
he was very on the point with the questions. So I mean,
So he's a proper
Yeah.
car guy. He knows
Pro-
exactly what there is, and he knows all the little questions you asked him. There was
No
nothing he
fuss.
wasn't sure about.
Yep.
That's fantastic. And so he was saying, because I've only ever watched the video, I've never seen the behind the scenes stuff. But is one of possibly 3 in Northern Ireland?
well, that's what he says. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's originally from England. He bought it. Him and his buddy went over and phoned him up, drove over and got it. Similar story to the S-Type R that your brother got.
Oh, fantastic. So when did he actually buy it? Do you know roughly how long has he had it for? A couple of weeks?
I wasn't
couple
able to
months,
figure
couple
out,
years?
so I've no idea. I couldn't even tell you how long he's had it. So
Fair enough. And what year was the car? Was it a 2018? I think it was. wasn't it?
2018. It's the last year of the Focus RS, 4-wheel drive. I think it's getting moved over to the ST line. So
Okay.
it's the last good year in my mind.
And actually, just thinking about it, I completely forgot that it was 4-wheel drive. Like, what is
Yep.
it? What was it like being in a 4-wheel drive, 400 horsepower, 2.3 liter EcoBoost?
I mean,
Because it was
Yeah.
a manual, if I remember correctly.
yes,
So
that was the difference in most cars. Like that's in the same bracket as S3s and Golf Rs.
yeah.
Now those I'm pretty sure you can get in manuals. Don't know about the Audis, but you can
Yeah.
definitely go. Wait, no, can you get a Golf R in a manual?
Yeah, you get Golf Rs
Yeah.
in manuals and with the DSGs, but I'm just thinking,
But-
Golf Rs, they were 300 horsepower, I think.
Yep.
So they're actually slightly less power than the Focus RS and less
Yep.
power than the S3, I think it was.
But the point I'm trying to make is the Focus RS is the only one you can only get it with a manual. Can't get it with a
You can't get a DSG at all.
not at all. It's only a manual,
Oh,
which in a way it's the proper driver's car.
Yeah, it is a proper driver's car, but I don't know. I think you get much quicker shifts as well as a
Yeah.
better launch with DSGs or Triptronic transmissions.
Yeah, but like manuals, like in a way, people enjoy the manuals. People enjoy the fun. Like
It's a driver's car.
Yeah, MX-5s. They're only. No, you can actually get automatics,
You can get automatic ones.
but like the original ones, those are only automatics.
Yeah.
The Mark Ones, those only are automatics, and people love them, and they're brilliant cars. So
Fair enough. Now, you've actually, from filming that day, you've actually been able to film in an S3 with 420 horsepower, I think it was.
Yes,
Yeah, 420 horsepower S3 2018 as well, actually,
yes.
which is surprising. What did you feel that? Well, what would you say the Focus did better than the Audi S3?
It's hard to really say because personally, it was just the S3 was probably just that bit quicker. I don't really know it. It's
Yeah.
hard to feel the difference because they're both very similar, just really except for the gearboxes.
Fair enough, and I think that goes back to what we were talking about in the previous few podcasts, where cars these days is not very much that's different between them. Now, obviously, the Focus RS is a manual gearbox, where the Audi has a automatic DSG, I think it is. But going back to the thing of like if you have a hatchback, similar horsepower, similar four-wheel drive, similar weights, it's not really huge amounts differentiating them. Besides, obviously, the looks and the branding. But what did you think of the Focus, like in general? Did you think? How would you compare it to the Audi?
How would I compare the Focus to the Audi?
If you had to describe it to someone who didn't know anything about cars.
Well, you can drift it. You can drift the Focus RS.
Okay.
Because there's a drift button. So
Yeah, because I don't think the Audi has a drift button, does it?
no, it sends 70 to the rear, 30 to the front, and I think the S3 is all 50-50 only. So
no, actually,
is it?
The S3? It's got the Haldex system, like the same as
Sorry,
Golf
yes,
R.
yes.
So I think what it is, it's 100% power to the front wheels, but the minute it detects any slippage, you end up sending as much power as needed to the rear wheels to hopefully reduce the slippage. Where I'm not sure what the Focus RS is.
I'm
'Cause if
assuming.
you can
I'm
adjust-
assuming.
if you
It's
can
50.
adjust, that's maybe more of like a proper transfer box. But if you know in the comments, drop below. Is it a Haldex system? Is it a proper transfer box? And all that, because actually something we don't actually know.
Not sure. So yeah, comment down below. Would love to know.
And if you're enjoying the podcast so far, give us a like, a comment, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and we'll be back next week anyway.
Absolutely, it's
But-
always much appreciated, folks.
Yeah, it is. We really would like to engage more with the audience, so please go ahead. But going back to it, you've never really actually driven around in many performance Fords, have you?
Performance Fords, no.
You've never been in a
No.
Ford Focus ST or anything, have you? You've obviously-
Actually, no. I tell you a lie. I was in a Focus ST, but
Okay.
this was. I think I was about 13 at the time. It
Yeah.
was my mate's dad got one midlife crisis car. The
Cool car.
normal thing, and he had that. It was a 4-door.
Yep.
And we were going up the road, and he was really hammering it. It's pretty fun, but that's a front wheel drive car, and I mean that was long before I was ever interested in cars.
Yeah, because
so,
I think that would have been probably an ST190, I think it is, or
Yeah.
ST180s.
yeah,
But no, I honestly quite like Fords, and they seem quite reliable, because I don't think Chris has he had any issues reliability wise, or has it been quite reliable?
not that I've heard of, so I'd assume it's pretty reliable.
Fair. And obviously haven't watched the videos. Watch the video. I'm in the same boat as the viewer. He seemed to have got actually pretty respectable fuel consumption for what it is. Until
Yes.
obviously, like it depends how you drive, obviously.
Yeah, what was it? He got 25, and then he put his foot flat, and then he got 5 or something.
Yeah,
Something
but I mean,
that.
like anything's like that.
Yeah.
But no, it's surprising how you can have a car that's got so much power, 400 horsepower, and you can still, even at 25 to the gallon, it's pretty respectable. If you think back maybe 10, 15 years ago, you had a car with 400 horsepower, and you'd probably be averaging 8 miles to the gallon at very best, or 10 to whatever it is.
But I think that's just because of the EcoBoost engine, because it's trying to be used.
Well,
Economic.
turbochargers naturally make a car more fuel
Yeah.
efficient because it's only using the excess gases from the exhaust to obviously spin the turbine, unlike superchargers or naturally aspirated cars. But do you know what I really, really like about the Ford Focuses?
Go on.
The styling. Like the
Really?
RS, I don't know, this is something, it's just so super stancy. Like if you look at an Audi S3, okay, take an Audi S3 compared to a normal Audi S or Audi A3, there's not really huge differences.
Especially the what is it, the RS or the S line.
Yeah,
sorry.
the S line. You get an S line, it looks pretty much identical to an
Yeah.
S3. Where if you go for like a Ford Focus ST line, Ford Focus ST line, it looks like maybe an ST Focus, but there's really nothing that looks like an RS Focus, which is I think is quite nice, because the thing is you have a car, and it's not really impersonated by any other car, specs, which is quite nice, because I find a lot of the time, you go find a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, looks like an AMG, it looks like a C63 or C43 AMG, but it's a C180 diesel. I really hate that, which I really, really appreciate that Ford has kept the Ford Focus RS looking super unique, and there's nothing that kind of like fakes it, which is quite cool.
Absolutely.
I like the color as well.
I'll tell you a couple of things that were my favorite about the car.
Yeah.
So it had Recaro seats, which I loved.
Oh, good bucket seats.
Good
always
bucket
great.
seats. I love Recaro. Are probably my favorite brand of bucket seats. It's in your Corsa VXR.
Yeah, the Corsa VXR.
I just love the way they look.
Well, sorry, I'm
Go on.
jumping off the topic here, but you know the Corsa VXR's bucket seats
Hmm.
are the same as in the, I can't remember the exact generation, but the BMW, I think it was M4 or M3 as well,
No way.
had the same bucket seats. It was kind of interesting. But
No
yeah,
way.
go back to what you're saying about the Focus.
Never knew that. But yeah, if I had to pick a couple of things with my favorite, the bucket seats are probably number one.
Yeah.
It's a 4-door, so it's practical.
Yeah, 4 is very handy.
Reasonably sized boot, which was pretty good. And it was quite a nice interior, I'll be honest, and
Yeah.
very, very comfortable. And honestly, when he wasn't hammering it, it was nice and quiet.
Yeah.
And the suspension was brilliant. It's not too sure about the specs of the suspension, but it had different modes, like the race mode and then
Okay.
normal mode. Now, in the video, he puts in race mode, and you know when you're coming, I think, up to Millbrook,
Yeah.
those bumps in the road
Yeah.
to slow you down, you can see it, and I'm just going up and down.
Well, that
It's
must
really
be
shaky.
electronically dampened suspension then.
That's
Or
it, yes.
stiffening. But no, that's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah, works really well. And honestly, I mean, I'm sure driving that back from England was quite nice for him.
Yeah, and I think it goes to think like a lot of cars these days are so well refined.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, if you go to a car like a sports car from like 20 years ago,
Hmm.
they were very very rough in the sense of that you got a decent bit of noise. They maybe weren't the most comfortable things in the world. But with technology, you've got like a Ford Focus RS, which can be an absolute monster. You know, if you want to drive it like that, or it can be relatively comfortable, and you know, obviously you can only get to a certain point with bucket seats.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that he has the carb on it, that he can go from stock power all the way up to 400 horsepower,
Mhm.
makes it kind of awesome because you know you can drive the car. I know 300 horsepower is a good bit of power. It's not like it's just your standard hatchback, but you know you have the options of going from 300 to 400 horsepower, or whatever standard to 400. You can adjust the suspension, and you know obviously have drift modes and stuff, which makes it pretty awesome in comparison to you know a car from 20 years ago,
Mhm.
even like not even a car from like 20 years, maybe a car from 10 years ago.
Yep.
You know you didn't have half its options. You had to choose either comfort, somewhere in between, or crazy.
Yeah.
Where now you can kind of do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool and interesting.
And I just forgot one thing is he had a multi-map in it.
Yeah.
So there's multiple maps. I think, probably going to be wrong with this, it's either 200 horsepower, 300, and 400. Now, I think there was a fourth one. I think there
Not
was.
Sure, I wasn't there.
And yeah, true. I think there was a fourth one, which was valet mode, or maybe that is the 200 one,
Oh,
where
okay.
you can only go a certain
Limited speed or something
limited
like that,
speed
yeah.
or horsepower.
Actually,
Yep.
you only really see that in like really, really high spec cars. Like, you know, you'll usually get, I think it was in the Bugatti Veyrons and stuff, you had two keys.
Hmm.
One key that obviously gave you X amount of horsepower, and the other key which gave you the full 1,000 horsepower. Now, I think Teslas have something similar as well, where on the display you can actually put in the code and it'll lock the glove
Yep.
box and lock a couple things and only give them a certain amount of power. But no, it's quite kind of cool that you can get that in a Ford Focus. You know, you don't really expect a Ford Focus to have a valet mode. Now, I know that may be aftermarket, but that's still pretty impressive.
Yeah. No, that car was brilliant. Yeah, like I said, the colour was amazing. I love that colour.
I'm just sad I couldn't see it.
I do love a blue car.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm sure it'll be there at that GL Reflections
Cars and Coffee.
thing. I'm sure
yeah,
it'll be
there's
there.
Cars and Coffee in May. We'll put the day here.
Yep.
If you're in Northern Ireland and you're interested in going to a really, really nice Cars and Coffee, there's going to be a lot of cars, some really, really
Mhm.
nice cars. We can also there's some photos, I think, from last year.
Last year, yes.
So Connor can maybe put them up on the screen, a
Little
little bit of a collage or whatever.
have a
We'll
look,
call it.
see what you like. Oh, look at this one. Look at that one.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so come down and have a look. We'll put the date here, and you know. So what is the next car we have, Connor?
It is a Mercedes from the 2000s,
Yep. Convertible,
rear-wheel drive.
2-door.
I mean, most Mercedes are rear-wheel drive.
I mean, yeah, actually. Well, at least from 2000, most of them were.
Yep.
Rear-wheel drive, 2-door convertible, with a supercharger,
Mm-hmm. Black.
black, and it's really rather sporty.
Rather sporty, yes.
Rather sporty. And we actually make a little bit of a comparison to a Mazda MX-5. So
Yeah.
drop a link. Or drop a comment? Don't drop a link. Drop a comment. What you think? What you think it's going to be? But yeah, 2000s Mercedes, supercharged as well. So it's kind of cool. It's interesting actually that supercharger, how it engages and disengages whenever you're.
Oh,
you're
giving it away here.
But
Ooh.
if
Yeah,
you know
no,
your cars, you know
no,
your
it was a
cars.
good car, but aye,
Thank you, Grandad Joe.
that was a cold day that we filmed that
It
video
was
on.
cold and windy.
Really cold.
And it was dark. It was getting so dark so quickly.
Yeah,
I think when did we film that? It was the middle of winter, wasn't it?
November time, I think.
Yeah, middle of winter.
Baltic and
On the coast, getting the cold wind. I
we,
remember.
we were getting the cold wind and cold looks from drivers past.
Yeah, just waving at random people, being like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah,
They
and,
had no idea who we are.
Yeah, and
That was funny.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it was good fun to film that video, and it was actually a surprisingly quick car as well. I wouldn't have expected it to be as punchy as it was.
Yeah, now you mention it,
Yeah.
it was pretty nippy and surprising. And I'll be honest, pretty direct handling.
Yeah, well, it's got low profile tires. It's got the
Fair enough.
AMG monoblocks, which
Yes.
obviously help with having less of a sidewall, so you have a
Mhm.
little bit less of obviously sideways sway on the tire. But it was actually surprisingly punchy and surprisingly well handled.
Yeah. Well, I guess you'll have to figure out what that is coming up next week.
We'll see you next week then.
So yes, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night.